down in the woods ever? I just wasn't sure how much you came along with that. There have been some great threshing stories about getting meals ready for threshers, which would be fun to talk about if you have some.
I sure did a lot of that. Yeah. And then Bill would come in, Uncle John, I always call him. He would come in and say, about 11:30, he'd say, Bill, you go on in the house. And he'd help me make the gravy, cut the bread.
Yeah. So Bill did that, not just Bill. Not just John, but Bill would do it. Because
Bill did that.
John, my dad talked about helping Mom. You know, they occasionally had a young woman that was helping them. Mm-hmm. But Dad helped as much as anything on the cooking. You know, he'd do that right through when Mom was here. Mm-hmm. They'd plan the recipes together. Mm-hmm. Okay, we're going to have a party. What are we going to have? The two of them would get together and do. Mm-hmm.
Now, Fred and I did that too. Yeah. Lots of times he'd go buy meat. Or I'd go, sometimes if I was doing something else, he'd go get the meat.
Sure.
I never touched that meat until it was on my plate.
Wow, he took care of it. Dad told me that in one of those times when they went to town and bought store-bought bread, when Mom bought the bread out, everybody quit eating and passed the store-bought bread around. And that went around until it was gone with peanut butter, jelly, whatever. It was like dessert, and then they ate the rest of the meal. But they made sure they got dessert first, which was the store-bought bread. And we could never get him to eat anything but white bread because he still remembered that as dessert. And much more interesting than home-baked bread. Never changed his mind. Didn't matter what it was.
See, I always baked bread. One thing I didn't say is my mother died, when I was 13.
Yeah.
And then I sort of took over from there on.
And thus you learned to sew and learned to cook and everything pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you're certainly a good cook and a marvelous seamstress, so there's no question.
Well, I've learned, but I've had so much fun in the process.
Sure.
It made life interesting.
It keeps it zippy when you're putting in zippers, I know.
And you still take in sewing and mending now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got 2 coats on the table right now. One's got a zipper out, another one's got to have a new collar put on. I don't know, this is the first time
a collar wore out, huh?
A collar. That thing is in shreds. And the coat is in perfectly good condition.
What's it made of? The collar.
Well, the collar is a
David and Sheila
sort of like
have to leave.
suede cloth.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's what I hear, that there's storm coming, they're going to have to go
but
earlier
the
than
coat
they
is
expected.
a vinyl.
Uh-huh. So is the person really hairy around the neck and